Thank you, Láscan Corla. Minister, I'd like to thank you for taking the topical issue today. I know you've spoken on this issue a number of times already, but this topical issue was deferred from a number of weeks ago due to the mid-term break. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you here today and hope that some clarification can be offered to those who have been affected by the delays in the processing of payment of illness benefit. Minister, for over 2 months now there have been huge delays in the processing and payment of illness benefit to people across the country. I have been contacted every day by constituents in Donegal who were genuinely upset about the disruption to their payment, and you can imagine what they were thinking when suddenly no money was coming in. This payment is granted to people who are unable to work and is a hugely important income source for many affected by disabilities of varying degrees. As an income source, this money is used to pay for typical bills like rent, mortgages and utility bills. And you can imagine the chaos that ensues when someone's main income source suddenly dries up and that person is left to find alternative income. And that's exactly what has happened. Most people were getting staggered payments, a little bit here and there, while some were not getting any payments whatsoever, and with no clarification or warning from the department. Some constituents who contacted me only found out when direct debits and standing orders were cancelled, and overdraft fees have been charged as a result of people who have been forced to take out unnecessary loans or have had their credit rating compromised. Attempts by them to contact your department were in vain, and many gave up trying, referring to my office instead in a last-minute panic to restore their payments. Staff within my office were unable to contact your department as well, and their phone calls were continually left unanswered. For that reason, I sent a parliamentary question to you to figure out why our calls were not being answered, and this is when we discovered your department was switching over to a new system. I have contacted your department since, and your own office has been particularly helpful, allowing us to bypass the lengthy parliamentary questions process for the time being, and I thank you and your staff for that. And I do want to commend your own staff for their support, but we really should not have been in this position to begin with. I understand you made a commitment that last week would see the end of the delays and payment issues resolved. However, we are still getting calls from people saying they are only receiving partial payments. I even have people whose payments were corrected recently in response to the delays, but which have since been delayed again. And how can this be possible? The most worrying is the fact that those recipients we contacted the department about were told that they have already been paid when this is not the case. The department has requested these individuals to provide a copy of their bank statement to prove that they in fact did not get paid, and this is completely unfair and unwarranted, I believe. The department should be proving they did in fact pay the money, not the other way around, as this is the fault of the department and not the recipient. To sum things up, Minister, this issue has not yet been fully resolved, and as a result of the delays, people are in compromised positions financially, and in effect they are being penalised for something they had no control over. There was no initial communication or warning given to recipients that changes were being made to the system, and we still don't understand how it causes such confusion and delays over payments. I feel it is my duty to bring this issue to the Dáil because every week I am still getting people coming into my constituency offices in Donegal and not receiving what was their entitlement. I would like to take this opportunity to ask the following crucial questions, which I know is on everyone's mind. Firstly, what caused this delay? Secondly, why was no communication made to recipients prior to changes being made, and why was the response to these problems so slow? Thirdly, why were department staff not available or phone calls not answered in the meantime? And lastly, most importantly, if your department will provide a standalone compensatory payment to all those affected who have been financially compromised as a direct result of their department's mistakes.
Thank you. You have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Count Corla, and I'd like to particularly thank the Deputy, not just for raising it, but also for your patience and waiting for me to be available to answer it. I know you raised it before the Halloween break, but I wasn't available that day, so I am grateful for you allowing me to be able to put the following on the record of the House and to respond to the queries that you've raised that have affected not just obviously the people in Donegal, but nationally, and so my response obviously will be nationally. Láscan Corla, my department implemented a new IT system on August the 4th, 2018 as part of a programme of modernising its approach to managing illness payment claims. And this was the first step in a programme which planned, amongst other things, to try and provide quicker access to payments for customers, to move from a paper system for medical certs, to greatly reduce the manual processing work which is involved in administering claims, and move illness benefit payments off an old legacy IT platform which is approaching its end of life to a new system which is already managing many of our department's other payments. Unfortunately, although the majority of customers continue to receive payments, following implementation a number of difficulties arose. These included some customers missing or not receiving payments, or receiving split payments for a week rather than a single weekly payment. In particular, by moving from a week in arrears system, which was the old system, to a real-time payment system, difficulties arose with some people receiving split or, in lots of cases, lower payments. Additionally, the change from a payment in arrears approach to a current week payment approach, coupled with our new IT system, which has very, very tightly defined rules, it's a very unforgiving system, led to payments being blocked altogether for reasons that might not have been applied to under the old manual, human-led system. These issues caused major difficulties for many of our customers, leading to obviously a large number of calls to the department as Count Corla's helpline, and obviously resulting then in long delays to responding to the calls, or indeed, Deputy, as you've said, some cases not having their calls answered at all. In order to address this, the department deployed additional staff to manage the customer calls, but regrettably there were still delays for many of our customers. My department has worked hard over the last few weeks to resolve the many issues that arose, including allocating additional staff to the illness benefit claim work and developing a number of IT modifications to identify and to rectify the payment issues. And I'm pleased to be able to say that the payment levels of illness benefit are now back to their normal level. So just for information purposes, in any 1 week we would approximately pay out 50,000 customers who are entitled to an illness benefit payment. Last week, approximately 54,000 payments were made, and approximately 4,000 payments in excess of the normal payment weekly to customers who were outstanding arrears. And the department would like to assure people that they will receive their back payments that are continue to be outstanding as soon as possible, which will include this week and in the coming weeks. The department can and does confirm that a normal level of payments will issue to illness benefit customers this week and every week from there on. It is, however, important to note that there will always be some people who don't get paid in a given week for any variety of issues. And this is due to issues such as delay in receipt of claims and/or certificates, incorrectly completed certificates, human errors, or inconsistencies between the information submitted and the information that's already on file. The existence of another welfare payment for the main claimant or their dependents on the claim, and all of which can lead to payments being suspended or delayed. But this isn't new. This would have occurred with the old system, so this is just normal routine issues over and above the very unroutine issues that have happened for the last number of weeks. However, I would like to acknowledge that the majority of the delays over the past few weeks were due to system and processing issues rather than the normal levels of exceptions, and I would genuinely like to sincerely apologise not only to the deputies that have been representing all of their constituents, but indeed all of the persons who are in receipt, or rather weren't in receipt of proper payments of illness benefits over the last couple of weeks.
Deputy
I'd like
Pringle,
to finish just last
you'll have
by
2
saying...
minutes later.
Sorry, okay.
Deputy Pringle, 2 minutes, and then the Minister will have another 2 minutes.
Minister, I'd like to thank you for your response so far. I mean, it is true, this is exceptional. It's not the normal, and you acknowledge that in what you said there, because that is vitally important, because it wouldn't be here as a topical issue if it was part of the normal process and the normal happening of events. But I think one of the things that really sticks with people is the fact that this happened out of the blue, and the first they heard about it, or the first they noticed, was when the money didn't appear in their accounts. And they actually had no correspondence or heard nothing from the department as to actually what was happening, or that there was a change taking place. And even some will say, like, expect delays, or there could be a delay because this is happening. And that's really, really the department. These are the customers of the department, if you want to look at it as a totally economic sense or whatever, that these are the customers, and the department has let them down badly. Like, I mean, if this was Dun Stores or the Bank of Ireland or anything else like that, we'd be jumping up and down here and saying that this is not on and this is not on, that they should treat people like this. And I have to say that for the department as well. And personally, I get on very well with the department, and the department generally is very good in dealing with clients and customers, and you get a very good response from them. But in this, they have failed. And I think that has to be acknowledged, and they have to recognise that. And and there is people that are suffering because of that as well. And that, I think that has to be recognised by your department as well. And that's why I asked that, if you will apply the standalone compensatory payment for people who have genuine costs, extra costs incurred through no fault of their own, through a system that they are in need of the system and they're dependent on it, and it has failed them and let them down. And I think you should have as an exceptional needs payment for them. Thanks.
The Minister's 2 minutes.
Thank you. I genuinely don't dispute anything that you've said. I'm grateful not only obviously to you acknowledging the very good service that our department does give, and I think it's probably after me to put it on the record of the House that the Department of Social Protection makes 1.2 million payments every single week, and they do have a really, really good record, which is why it's so difficult, I suppose, to try and understand how this was as badly managed and as badly communicated as it was. And so one of the questions you asked me earlier on is that why was there no communications prior to the change? I don't have an answer to that for you yet, other than it was supposed to be seamless, and you weren't supposed to see any change except an efficiency in it. And so that was a mistake. The other questions you've asked me is what caused the issue, and I know I've touched on it because there isn't just one issue. There were a number of issues that kind of conspired together to make an issue arise in one week that was resolved the following week that then gave rise to another issue, which tells me we should have tested this system far longer, in virtual world as opposed to going live in the real world and affecting customers as badly as we have done. I know you've used the word failed people, and I only accept failure when something is over and you can't fix it. I believe we have fixed it this week, but I genuinely do acknowledge how badly we've let people down. And the communications directly with customers in the last couple of weeks, we wrote some 55,000 letters to people, albeit late. I hope explains somewhat directly to our clients and our customers and the people who are in receipt of illness benefit as to what happened. But more importantly, what I've requested to happen, because there are lessons that do genuinely need to be learned for this. We've arranged for an independent review into how the changes of illness benefit were planned, how they were implemented, and actually, most importantly, how they were communicated or not to clients. It's been conducted by an independent person outside of the department, and I would expect to have that report back by Christmas. But what's actually most important to me today is that I can say that everybody who is entitled to a payment of an illness benefit payment, outside of routine issues that can happen anybody at any time, and human errors, are getting the payment that they should be entitled to. And with a view to obviously the lessons that we've learned, we will be going back to a payment in arrears systems for all new coming payments from this week on.
We move on now to the next question, the name of Deputy Michael Moynihan, and you may proceed as soon as the Minister arrives.